Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. Hope you're all staying safe out there. What a crazy week, huh? I've never seen anything like that in my life. I'm sure you haven't either. Unprecedented. I've done several interviews this past week about how to clean your tech. I've written tips to working from home for those who have to. We're going to get to that this hour, by the way. The best websites and apps to give you trusted information about COVID-19 and so on. I even wrote an article today about coronavirus scams going around that try to take advantage of you. And we're going to get to that this hour as well. So with that in mind, let's kick off the show. We do have a stellar Tech It Out plan for you this hour. Speaking of scams, we're going to start the show by talking about March, which is Fraud Prevention Month. We're going to get on the line Tony Anscombe. He's a cybersecurity expert and global brand ambassador to ESET, a leading cybersecurity company that I use. In fact, that's ESET. We'll talk about 2020 scams, including ones tied to coronavirus, believe it or not. That interview is coming up first in a moment. Also on this week's show, we're going to chat with Epson about receipt scanners. That's right, it is tax time. And so we're going to find out about fast and easy and most importantly, accurate ways to scan all of those receipts that you may have or your small business has and what Epson software does with it after that. Also on this week's Tech It Out, do you live in an apartment? Do you like amenities like package delivery, apartment cleaning, or dog walking? Well, we're going to be joined by Valet Living. It's a popular platform and app for you to get services that you want with the tap of a smartphone screen. And if you're a building owner or property manager, you'll also want to hear about Valet Living as well. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, I was asked to talk about working from home this past week, given what's going on with the coronavirus. And so I'm going to share my advice as well and reasons why it's great to work from home. You may be getting a taste of it now, and you're thinking, yeah, I would want to make a case for this when things go back to normal, and they will. And, you want to take it to the boss and say, hey, I'd love to work from home and here's why. So towards the end of the show, I'm going to give you all those reasons that you can hit up your boss with on all the advantages for working from home, whether you're the employer, the employee, or the environment. All of this and more on this hour's Tech It Out, which is powered by ASUS. I'll tell you more about them shortly, but let's kick off the show. It's always a pleasure to have Tony Anscombe on the show. He's such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things cybersecurity, and he also knows how to explain it all in plain English, which is not always easy to do. You might have seen his blog posts at welivesecurity.com. Tony Anscombe is the global brand ambassador for ESET, a leading cybersecurity company whose software I use to protect all of my tech. So it's a pleasure to have Tony back. Welcome to the program, Tony.
Great to be here again, Mark.
I think last time we spoke, it was at the end of 2019. It was a year in review, if you will. But given that March is Fraud Prevention Month, I think it's as good a time as any to look at today's threats and how we can protect ourselves. Before we talk about that, how is 2020 shaping up so far when it comes to viruses? And I do mean computer viruses, not coronavirus, which is, of course, dominating every headline today. How are we doing so far in 2020?
Well, it's looking good. However, just this morning, Mark, somebody has sent me a bunch of phishing emails around coronavirus. So, cyber criminals are using the opportunity of one virus to try and infect people with another virus.
Interesting. What did the message look like?
They're pretty good. They're some of them look like they're from the World Health Organization. Some others are touting products that are difficult to come by, hand sanitizers and face masks, etc. So it's an unfortunate set of events when somebody tries to monetize in that way.
Yeah, that's a shame. I guess the bad guys are thinking that if they can tap into something that we're all talking about, it'll increase the likelihood of somebody clicking on a link in an email or an attachment if it's top of mind. With that in mind, Tony, it's tax time as well. So many are falling victim to these phony texts and emails or even phone calls from crooks pretending to be from the government, saying that you need to update your information or you got to pay this or you're going to go to jail.
There's a couple of things here to call out, though. One is some of the tax authorities have done superb jobs in combating some of that fraud in the last few years. So they've put in other measures. So that's a good thing. Yeah, that it is being answered from that source as well. But yeah, you get that phone call saying, hey, you're due a refund. We can help you get that refund quickly. Yeah, the tax authority doesn't call you. They don't email you. They write to you in physical snail mail still.
Good to know. That's a good reminder that the government, bank, your favorite online shopping site isn't going to write to you with a sense of urgency saying, we need you to update this, we need you to do this. It just doesn't happen. Just to exercise some common sense. It seems that today, and certainly last year as well, that these kinds of phishing scams where they try to lure you into a phony site, that seems to be a bit more of a threat than actual viruses, which is what we may have been talking about a few years ago. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say all of the above is still a big threat. I mean, ransomware is still out there. You know, there's a number of viruses still out there. So we shouldn't become complacent and think that problem's been solved, because it hasn't. But as you mentioned, the phishing scams, if you look at what's happening now, is it's social engineering. So the more information that's been breached out there, the more information people know about you or I, Mark, will allow them to personalize an email and try and get us to click on something and give away our credentials. And that's going to get worse. You know, we hear about AI as a technology sweeping the world, but unfortunately, AI is also something cyber criminals are using to socially engineer people as well, which is causing a problem. There was a recent case actually in Europe, which I think was super interesting. It was the back end of last year. Fraud happened. 220,000 euros was transferred to a bank account because the CFO of a company took a call of what he thought was from the CEO, and the cyber criminal was using AI to mimic the CEO's voice.
Wow, that's scary. And to focus on the word social for a moment, I wrote an article for USA Today 2 weeks ago on social media scams that are still quite prevalent. I received a few messages over Facebook Messenger last month that looked like they were from someone in my contacts, down to their photo, right to their name. And it first started pretty innocent enough, like, hey, Mark, how are you? And that's something that does not look suspicious to me. So I replied, I'm well, thanks. How are you? Trying to be cordial. And they replied, I'm good. In fact, I'm really good. I received money from this grant. The first time I received it, I was innocent enough or naive enough perhaps to say, oh, that's great, because this person actually works in the education space who does work on papers, and I thought he really did get a grant. And then when I got the next message, the reply, my spidey sense was tingling, which was, oh, you should apply as well. There's this, organization that has to give away X amount of dollars before the end of April. So right away, I knew it was suspicious. And of course, you've written about this, is that a friend of mine, a real friend of mine on Facebook, their account was compromised and cloned. And the person reaching out, I don't think it was AI, but somebody was pretending they were impersonating my friend. So I immediately blocked them. I notified my friend, who then was able to notify Facebook, and all is fine now. But I started receiving this. So there are lots of scams going around.
Yeah, unfortunately, even if something looks as though it's real and it's coming from a person who you trust, if it's out of context, then be cautious. And as you did, contact the person. So I had a very similar experience recently with actually through LinkedIn. Somebody's compromised LinkedIn account. And I actually picked it up. The email and the communication seemed absolutely spot on. But there was one particular thing. The email was signed Alexander as opposed to Alex. Right?
And you picked up on that. It was too formal for your friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's those small things that you need to look for to see whether it possibly could be fraud. I will say the old-fashioned way of validating things is pretty good. Call the person.
Right. Do people still do that today, Tony?
Well, apparently that thing I carry in my pocket still makes phone calls.
I love the dry British humor. Tony Anscombe from ESET. We'll continue chatting with him in a few minutes from now on Tech It Out, which is powered by ASUS. For those in search of incredible, ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Before we end off this first block on this week's Tech It Out, I thought I would share a couple of the tech tips of the day that I write for social media. I do it on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you don't follow me on any of those platforms, I'm going to share a couple of those with you now so you get a sense of the kinds of things that I talk about online. All right, so here are some of the ones that I wrote last week. If it's cold out and you want to use your smartphone, you can pick up a little mini stylus pen from your local dollar store and attach it to your coat's zipper. That way, you can keep your gloves or mittens on, but use the stylus pen to tap and swipe content on your smartphone instead of having to take your gloves off. That's one little tip. Another one is for iPhone users. If you're trying to meet up with someone, did you know that you can share your location right from within the Messages app? So when you're chatting with someone that you're trying to meet up with, simply type, "I'm at," and then just leave that, and then you're going to see a pop-up. Siri is going to suggest sharing your exact location. Then whomever you're chatting with will get a map with your current location pinned, so they'll find you easily. Love that. Speaking of iPhones, here's another great tip. If your iPhone doesn't easily recognize your face when you're wearing glasses or sunglasses, so it won't log you onto your device until you have to take your glasses off your face, instead of removing them to log in, set up what's called alternative appearance on your iPhone. You simply go to the settings and Face ID and passcode area, enable alternative appearance, and let it scan your face with your eyeglasses or sunglasses on. That way you're setting up a second face for it to recognize. Cool, huh? You could follow me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. My name is Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, S like Sam, A-L-T like Tom, Z, M-A-N. We'll be back shortly to continue our chat with ESET's Tony Anscombe on Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Tony Anscombe. He's a cybersecurity expert and global brand ambassador for ESET. That's ESET. It's a leading cybersecurity company that we're going to talk about in a moment. Tony, is there a platform that the bad guys are hitting the most these days? Is it still your computer, or is it more so your phone?
I would say it's actually a mix of both. And the problem is once it moves, when you get these type of attacks on a phone, I think we're more socially engineered on a phone than we are on a PC, because there are certain things we don't see very well. You know, if you click on a link and it opens a web page on a phone, so sometimes you don't see the URL at the top, so you're not visually inspecting it and things like that. So some things will appear by SMS, so not necessarily by email, and SMS tends to be more personal. So we need to be far more vigilant on our phone. And also we're good at protecting our laptops. You know, we're good at putting antivirus or anti-malware software on our laptops. Unfortunately, not everybody takes that same view on a phone, which they should do, though.
Indeed. And speaking of ESET, I do have ESET installed on my Android phone. I also have it on my tablet, even my Android TV. I have a Sony smart TV. So that is software that is pretty much device agnostic. It can be used on several different devices that you may own.
Absolutely. And the most important thing is, Mark, is to make sure you're updated and using the latest version as well.
Yeah, so I think that's set up automatically. Maybe it's for the paid version. I know with some cybersecurity software that's free, the catch is that you have to remember to manually update it to catch the latest threats. But if I'm not mistaken, if it's paid software like I do for ESET and it's not breaking the bank either, it's handled automatically. Yes,
and in the majority of cases it is. But there are some instances where somebody may be on a back version that can't be updated to the absolute current version.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they do need those emails or those messages from the software saying please update me do actually mean please update me, because it's better security.
What I also like about ESET is that it has webcam intrusion detection, which is another story I wrote for USA Today last month, which was on webcams on laptops that are getting hacked again. And as creepy as it sounds, the bad guys can be watching you through your camera unbeknownst to you. But if you've got software, it could flag any kind of attempt at that, and it'll shut it down.
Absolutely. And that kind of crosses over into the step outside of your laptop, tablet, and phone as well. You also need to be making sure all your other devices are secure as well. So strong, unique passwords on everything. Make sure devices are using encryption. Yes, IoT devices, all these other things that we're adding to our networks at home.
And common sense, which is, I think, the thread among all of the things we've been talking about today, is that, always be vigilant against these kinds of messages. Even if you think it's legit, when in doubt, double check with your friend that they really sent this to you. Don't fall for any of these sort of urgent messages that want you to update things. Just exercise some common sense here, because even the best software can't protect you from things like that. Even a good old-fashioned phone call that my mom received from someone who claimed to be from Microsoft almost convinced her to send some money.
Yeah, and those scams are very convincing, unfortunately. One thing I'd say as well is be cautious with your personal information. If you go to a site and it's asking for your personal information and it is a valid site, why do they want it? What are they going to do with it? Think about what happens if they have a data breach. Did they need your data? Could I have checked out in that store as a guest and not actually provided them my stuff? The less your data is out there, the less potential there is for a cyber criminal to come and defraud you later on, knowing something about you.
Great point. And similarly, when you download a new app that's asking for all kinds of permissions, access to your contact list, or to your camera, or to your microphone, or to your location data, think twice before you tap the terms and conditions that nobody reads. Let's face it. You might, Tony.
Well,
you might read it.
However, sometimes there's an urgency. Somebody says, "Oh, have you seen this app?" and you go download it and you don't read it. But typically, I try to read it. The other one I'd really love to share is SIM swapping, Mark. Becoming a big issue here.
Please.
Where a bad guy will go into a phone store, a carrier store, and socially engineer the guy behind the counter. I've lost my wallet, lost my phone, I'm traveling. Can you issue me a new SIM? With the address and a couple of other pieces of personal information that may actually be in the public domain. They issue a new SIM and the person walks out with your phone number. So you need to make sure there's a PIN number or something set up on your phone account with the carrier to stop SIMs being reissued.
Yeah, and that's one of the blog posts that I read that you wrote on welivesecurity.com about SIM swapping. So I do encourage our listeners to check out that site. It's welivesecurity.com, and Tony has blog posts as well as videos, and there's other contributors as well that will educate you to the latest threats out there and, of course, how to protect yourself from them. Great. Tony, thanks so much for your time. I always enjoy chatting with you, and I look forward to the next time.
Likewise, Mark. Look forward to the next time.
When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to learn about Epson's scanners, specifically receipt scanners. It's not just for digitizing photos, of course, but you also can use these to scan your receipts. And they're separate products, in fact. After all, it is tax time, so you may be, instead painstakingly going through all your receipts manually to get them ready for your bookkeeper or your accountant or your own tax software like TurboTax. But there could be a much faster and accurate way to deal with all of those receipts, especially this time of year. So we're going to touch base with Epson after this short break to talk about Epson Receipt Scanners. Hey, if you have any feedback for me on what you like or don't like with Tech It Out, let me have it. You can reach out to me privately or publicly. I'll give you my info in a moment. Or if you have suggestions on upcoming guests or topics that you'd like me to tackle, you can get me at tech@marksaltzman.com, tech@marksaltzman.com. And of course, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. All right, we're going to be right back with more Tech It Out.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Tech It Out on the Radio American Network. For many of us, it is not the most wonderful time of the year, tax time, where we often scramble to get our paperwork ready for the government, right? Emptying that shoebox of receipts for your bookkeeper or your accountant, and so on and so forth. But technology may be able to help you out, as you'll now hear about Epson Receipt Scanners. Joining us on the line to chat is Mark Radogna. He is the Strategic Marketing Manager at Epson America. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for having me. having me.
Why don't we dive right in? I will ask you about photo scanners a little bit later, but let's talk Epson Receipt Scanners.
Yeah, I mean, receipt scanners, a lot of people don't realize this, but receipt scanners can really improve the process, make things more accurate, and most importantly, make things a lot easier when it comes to tax time, especially if you're a small business, whether you're a business working out of your own home or you have a small business, small office, home office. One of Epson's latest line of receipt scanners, man, you can take a whole stack of receipts you've been storing all year long, and with one of our receipt scanners, get everything scanned in quickly, accurately, allow it to process properly, and fully be compatible with all the different tax software that's out there to kind of get the end of year done in a more accurate, smarter way.
We're not talking a flatbed scanner where you have to manually lift up the lid, put down a receipt, close the lid, scan it, and then repeat as often as needed. This is something that automates it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The new line that and it's really called the Workforce ES line of receipt scanners from Epson. The scanners are all auto document feeding now. And what's nice is you can put multiple receipts in at a time. And you can put them in any orientation you want. So you put a stack in, it scans them all in, looks at the front and the back automatically, which is really great.
Wow.
And it automatically understands what's on each receipt, processes it, and handles it within all of your different software that you want to use. So yeah, the days of trying to scan an individual receipt one at a time, either on a flatbed scanner or even worse, using your cell phone to try to take individual pictures, it's a nightmare. So, yeah, I mean, this is the way to do it. If you're a small business or a home-based business, it is amazing how quickly you can get the end of your taxes done with one of our latest receipt scanners.
Once those receipts are scanned, is there any software that Epson has that can digitize the receipt so it extracts the numbers and all that and the words? I think that's called OCR, or optical character recognition.
Yeah. Epson is a leader in that area. We've partnered with a number of companies also that know how to take that technology and put it into software to make it easy. We have what's called single-step technology, which allows someone just to grab a stack of receipts, put it into one of our receipt scanners. The hardware then scans everything in, very quickly, up to 25 pages per minute, so it's pretty quick. After it all scans it in, our included software that we call ScanSmart from Epson automatically processes all that data that's on those receipts in an intelligent way and turns it into the proper information needed by various accounting and tax software. So it's a very cool system, and it all comes with the scanner when you buy it.
We're chatting with Mark Radagna. He is the Strategic Marketing Manager at Epson America. We're chatting about Epson's receipt scanners that can certainly help you out all year round, but especially this time of year. So let's talk pricing, and again, a couple of those model numbers, and then we will chat about photo scanners.
So in the U.S., we have a whole line of receipt scanners under the Workforce family. One of our most popular scanners is the Workforce ES series, from the ES55R to the ES65 and even the ES300WR. These are very popular receipt scanners in the U.S., and they start as low as $150. And they can go as high as about maybe $400. But they're a great investment, and we're always having these products on sale and rebates and promotions that happen, so definitely check with your local reseller on the latest in pricing. But the Workforce ES family of receipt scanners here in the U.S., starting at about $150, is a great investment if you're a small, medium-sized business that wants to get your finances in order and all your tax documents prepared properly, quickly, easily, and accurately. It's an awesome investment.
And speaking of tax season, it's probably a write-off too. So, not that it's breaking the bank, but if you go into those higher end models, you can justify it with the time you're going to save. And as I mentioned, I know at least with my business, I can use that towards my taxes. Why don't we end off, Mark, on your photo scanners? I did want to talk to you mostly about Epson Receipt Scanners, given the time of year especially, but let's now talk about photo scanning.
One of the areas where Epson really excels is in photography. We've always been really strong in the fine arts, and photography has always been a big business for Epson. And we have a complete line of scanners dedicated to photography. Our most popular scanner is called Epson Fast Photo. It is a wireless, high-speed photo scanner that's really been designed specifically for people who have giant shoeboxes or storage units filled with photos that they want to quickly scan and digitize, clean up, correct, and be able to be used in today's social media activity. One of the hardest things that people run into is they have a shoebox of photography or a box filled with photos from their parents or past. They don't know what's in it. Some of it may be fading. Some of it's, bad. To be able to take all that photography, all of those important moments in your life, and easily scan them in quickly, and not just scan them in, color correct them, fix the red eyes, fix any of the problems with color, restore it back to its original quality the best we can, depending on how bad it's faded, and even scan in handwritten notes on the front or back of the photo at the same time, and then to have all that scanned in and put into the latest software that you have on Mac and Windows, as well as your tablet or your cell phone. It is an awesome thing. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you start to experience what's in those shoe boxes, you may have forgotten memories that only through an Epson photo scanner you kind of brought it back. It is quite awesome. Not only are you protecting all your photography and making sure that if anything happens, you still have everything backed up, but now that you have it all brought back into the computer or on your cell phone or your tablet, it's easily accessible to all the latest forms of social media like Instagram or Facebook. It's a pretty awesome thing. So it's called Epson Fast Photo. It's a brand new product from Epson. It's extremely popular. And to be able to, preserve what we call preserve what's priceless, preserve all of your photography in a digital way, it's a pretty emotional product, and it's one of our most exciting photo printers we have at Epson.
All right, and that's Epson Fast Photo. It's spelled FASTFOTO, and that's one word, but capital Fs. And the latest model, if I'm not mistaken, is the FF680W. Mark Bradagna, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for educating us on all things Epson scanners.
Thank you.
You're listening to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS. I'll tell you more about them after this short break. We're also going to talk with Valet Living about amenities for apartment dwellers. We'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to the show. The gig economy seems to be everywhere these days, whether it's freelance drivers picking up Uber or Lyft passengers, renting out your home through Airbnb, or your vehicle through Turo, or maybe hiring someone to create a company logo or edit a podcast via apps like Fiverr. Well, you get the idea. And now we're going to learn about Valet Living, which offers amenity services to those who live in apartments. We're joined by Patty Girardi. She's the CMO at Valet Living. Welcome to the show, Patty.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to be with you.
All right, Patty, what is Valet Living all about?
We're actually the only nationally recognized full-service amenities provider to the multifamily housing industry. And we perform more than 340 million events annually across 1.4 million apartment homes in 40 states. So what does that all mean? Well, in apartment communities nationwide, we're doing everything from delivering groceries to performing home cleans and pet visits for apartment residents to staffing concierge desks, facilitating fitness classes, and managing packages. We have about 7,000 associates nationwide, and we're based in Tampa, where we've been named a Tampa Top Workplace for several consecutive years.
All right. So I live in an apartment building in one of the states that Valet Living is operational in, and I'm in need of services like a dog walker or I want my apartment cleaned. I can use an app, right? There's a Valet Living Home app, I believe. Is that correct?
That's exactly right, Mark. So our Valet Living Home app is designed to allow residents to request multiple kinds of amenity services to manage their daily chores just through a single app, as opposed to having to download multiple apps. Mm-hmm. And this includes everything from home cleans, pet visits, package deliveries, laundry and dry cleaning pickup, and it really just makes living a lot easier in apartment communities where we're creating exceptional living experiences for residents in apartment communities, and they're delivered by our own associates who are meticulously trained, and we like to say we're powered by technology, but that our services are delivered by the best people in the business.
And you're, I guess, marketing this platform to property management companies primarily. Is that fair?
Yes, that's exactly right. So building owners and property managers partner with us to bring our platform to their communities. And then once the Valet Living Home platform is launched at the community, then residents can book their amenities on demand as needed based on their individual lifestyles. Some of the amenity services are free depending upon the model, such as package management. And then others like home cleans and pet walks can be ordered at very, very competitive rates for the resident and in many cases lower than the market.
All right, so it's called Valet Living. Where is it available across the U.S.? What states are you operational in?
Sure. So we operate as a whole. We perform many different amenity services across 40 states, but Valet Living Home in particular is operational in 8 markets at this time, including Atlanta, Dallas, Phoenix, and Tampa.
All right, so that's the Valet Living Home app. And how does Valet Living as a platform differ from other services? I'm sure there are other amenity services for those who live in apartments.
Sure. There certainly are a variety of different solutions nowadays in the economy that we live in, the on-demand economy. But we like to say that we're developed exclusively for multifamily living. We have decades of experience in terms of how to deliver amenity services in apartment communities. And we really use that. In addition to our technology, we've got meticulous processes, very highly trained people, and we leverage all of that know-how to guarantee quality, safety, and consistency. All of our home cleans are performed in a way that is consistent across the board, no matter what market you're in. The tasks in particular are performed in a precise order, so they're kind of optimally done. And we actually include a lot of special touches that you wouldn't get with a typical home clean, for example, like dusting ceiling fans and window blinds for a really high quality experience. Our tagline is setting the standard, so we aim to set the standard every time we enter one of our residents' homes. And all of our amenities are performed by trusted associates who are members of the Valet Living family. They're vetted, background checked. And trust me, I'm a client myself. And if you haven't had your home cleaned by a Valet Living home cleaner, or we like to call a home valet, it'll change your life. It's really an incredible experience.
Yeah, of course, you need to have these folks vetted if you're going to let them into your home, whether you're there or not, just for that extra peace of mind. So good to hear that Valet Living is going through those kinds of steps. And we'll continue chatting with Valet Living in a few moments from now. But first, I do want to thank Tech It Out's title sponsor, and that is ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. You can visit asus.com/US/radio for more info on their stellar products. In fact, they're going to be on the show next week to talk about business laptops. The company has at least 5 different kinds of laptops, if I'm not mistaken. There's the ZenBooks, which is their most innovative and high performance and sleek laptops, VivoBooks, which is their sort of all-around everyday life kind of laptops, Chromebooks, which run on Google's OS, Republic of Gamers, or ROG, which is their ultra-high-end laptops and desktops for computer gamers, and finally ExpertBooks, which is for businesses, and that's what we're going to focus on next weekend on Tech It Out. And for those who work from home, which is of course a very big trend with what's going on these days, so you're not going to want to miss next weekend's interview with ASUS, and we'll have many others as well, including MasterCard and Microsoft, about working from home and staying safe when you're doing so. But when we return, we're going to continue chatting with Valet Living on Tech It Out.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Patty Girardi. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Valet Living. Talk to us a bit about your partnership with Torch Fitness. What's that all about?
Absolutely. We actually did a lot of research across the multifamily industry in terms of what what really benefits and creates community within the apartment living experience. We found out that 83% of residents won't rent an apartment without a fitness center, and that interest in fitness classes is very much on the rise. Almost 40% of residents now say that fitness is a very important part of their apartment living experience. So with that, last June, we acquired Torch Fitness, which is a pure play fitness and wellness company that has operated also very much in the multifamily world, really a perfect fit with our brand, to give residents in Valet Living home communities access to hundreds of certified fitness instructors and dietitians. And it's quickly become an integral component of our Valet Living home platform.
All right, so that's called Torch Fitness, and that's one of the options within the Valet Living platform. And just as we wrap up, what are some of the most popular amenities? I'm curious to know. Is it the home cleaning? Is it the package delivery? Is it fitness?
Home cleans and pet walks are very, very popular with our residents. Pet walks in particular, according to apartments.com, 70% of renters report owning a pet. And package delivery is also huge. The average apartment community receives nearly 150 packages per week. This, as you can imagine, doubles over the holidays. And additionally, we provide a number of customized amenities like gift wrapping and grocery assistance, and those are also quite popular.
Okay. Where can we learn more about Valet Living, whether there's a building owner listening or a property management company or just as a resident of an apartment in one of the states that's supported? What's the best website?
I'd say valetliving.com is where you want to go to learn all about us.
Okay, valetliving.com. Patty, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
With the spread of the coronavirus, this pandemic, many companies have mandated their employees have to work from home to avoid human contact in order to minimize the odds of COVID-19 spreading. Good idea. Look, it's not for everyone working from home. It takes a lot of discipline. As someone who has been self-employed for 25 years, I can attest though, to the benefits of working from home. And so I thought for the remaining moments we have on this week's Tech It Out, I'd share those advantages of telecommuting. And if you do like working from home and you want to make the case for it after all of this hopefully blows over sooner than later, here are my thoughts on the advantages to telecommuting. If it is an option for you and you have to make the case for it, take note of these arguments for when you approach the boss, if you will. All right. Benefits to working from home. First of all, for the employee, staying at home paves the way for a better work-life balance. Many take their kids to and from school or spend less on professional attire and lunches and eating healthier, and they're not distracted with colleagues asking them for something or being dragged into meetings that you're not needed in. In fact, a Stanford University report and a joint study by the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and Northwestern University found that those who work from home are less stressed and more productive than those who work a 9-to-5 job out of the home. Surprised? All right, now here are the benefits to telecommuting for the business. You can hire the best person for the job, even if they live across the country or even around the world, barring any time zone challenges, of course. Another advantage is to employers. Candidates who work from home may accept a lower salary than those who must commute to work. This isn't always the case, but you can often compare salaries for the same positions in-house versus at home at flexjobs.com, and you can see that there is a difference. As a cost-saving consideration, you don't have to pay for office space and other related expenses for an at-home worker. You may be able to close the deal over a video call instead of incurring the cost to fly across country. Those who work from home are often happier and more productive, which is good for company morale and efficiency. So that's a bit of a laundry list as to why it's good for the employer to have people working from home. And then finally, it's good for the environment and other cubicle dwellers who do need to or have to work at the office. Not only can telecommuting save time and money, but it also has an eco advantage. Fewer cars on the road reduces the amount of gas emissions that contribute to pollution and climate change. The more companies that allow for telecommuting, the lighter the roads may be for those who must drive or take public transit or Uber or taxis to get to the office. In other words, everyone wins. But that's just my 2 cents as someone who enjoys working from home. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this program, Tech It Out. This show is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Radio. Hey, hoping you all have a great week out there. I know these are crazy times, and it's not even day to day. It's like hour by hour. Something new is happening, and it's a little scary. It feels like it's the end of the world, but try to be calm, take a breath, do what the medical professionals are telling us, social distancing for a while, keeping our hands clean, and so on and so forth, and everything is going to be just fine. Looking forward to chatting with you next weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.